to another edition of the Student Fire Podcast, live from the Speak Fire studio. My name is Bobby Berg. I'm a motivational speaker for schools, and I am here to help you live your best life today. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Student Fire Podcast, live from the Speak Fire studio. I'm your host, Bobby Berg, and y'all, I really hope you've had a great week. I hope you've had a great month. I hope you've had an incredible holiday with Halloween. Someone was asking about that on our last coaching call and just got me thinking about it. Anyway, let's take a couple seconds, and I want you to just do a check-in with yourself, and I want you to see how you're doing. Be honest with yourself. If you're doing well, say so. If you're not, say so. Whatever it is, I want you to be real with you. So take 5 seconds of just silence, and I want you to be here with you. 3, 2, 1. See, that wasn't that bad. I hope you're really doing okay, though. And if you're not, that's okay. But for today's episode, last week we were talking about visual learners. We're going over learning styles because something I'm finding is people are getting frustrated, especially with online schooling, because they don't understand how they learn. So sometimes doing this in a visual format for them is, it's exhausting, and I get it. So last week, if you missed last week's episode, go back and check it out. It's on visual learners. It's super helpful. This week I want to talk about auditory learners and some tips. I've got 3 tips for you, 4-ish, that are really going to help you when it comes to time for class and for studying. So number 1, and first and foremost, this is the most important. I want you to get rid of any auditory distractions. Turn your phone on silent, not vibrate. Turn your phone on silent. You know, when you're going to go study, tell your family, tell your friends, everyone, be like, hey, listen, from 5 o'clock to 6, I am not available for anything. I need to study. So I'm turning my phone off. Some people aren't comfortable turning their phone off. I get it. So put it on silent. Make sure it doesn't vibrate, because every time your phone goes off, you're going to go, oh, wait, hold on. I got to look at this. You don't need to look at this. If you're trying to study, study. So take every type of auditory distraction and get rid of it. Don't have music on. Go to someplace quiet. I know we can't go to libraries or go to like a coffee shop, but go to a room in your house that people usually aren't in, or that, you know, no one's really busy in, so you can study on your own. Second, I want you to do talking head videos. Bobby, what's a talking head video? It's this. I meant to mention this earlier in the video. For all my auditory learners, you don't have to watch this video. This is for my visual learners. My auditory learners, you can just turn this on in the background, right? You need to listen to videos. My auditory learners, you thrive on listening. When someone probably explains how to do something to you, you're right there. Whereas with me, I'm like, wait a second. I understand what you said, but I need to actually do it, or I need to see somebody do it for it to really start making sense. You know what I mean? What you need to do is, when you're watching videos, say you want to learn how to do a certain math problem, which are phenomenal because they're all over YouTube. You can pop the video up and just minimize it and just listen to what they're saying. Listen to the video once, so you can understand how the process works, and then maybe watch the whole thing so that you can get as much auditory information as possible. Third. Next one. I want you to start doing word association. So a lot of times auditory learners have problems reading. It's not your fault. It's just how you learn. So when you're reading, a lot of people, when they're going through, we've all done this, where you're reading something and you just stop paying attention to what a sentence completely says because a word or two doesn't make sense. Say it's a new word that you've never read before. A lot of people, contrary to popular belief, don't pull their phone out and go, all right, how do I? No. Most people just go through and just kind of try and use context clues to piece it together, which is good. You're using your critical thinking skills. But for my auditory learners, what I want you to do is I want you to sound it out. I want you to try and say the word, and even if it's completely messed up, you need to do this because your brain is going to start activating your critical thinking skills are going to go in hyperdrive. Then I want you to pull your phone out, look up the word, and see what it means. And go, all right, okay. So if this is what the word means, how does that work in the whole sentence before you go back and reread the sentence, right? Then you reread the sentence in its entirety, and using that word association will really help you dial in what the paragraph or the sentence is saying. Sorry, the dogs are coming in and out in the background if you see it. And lastly, I want you to reteach yourself whatever lesson you just learned. Now, I know a lot of you are like, Bobby, what are you talking about, dude? Hear me out here. So say you go to class and you're on your Zoom meeting, and for whatever reason, you just could not focus. Your teacher's trying to have you, pay attention to the slides, and you're like, dude, I can't do this. Cool. What do you usually have at home, now that everybody's back home, to help you? A book. Pull your book out. Say you're going over a math class, or I don't know, say you're reading Fahrenheit 451, and you have to read chapter 15. Well, maybe you didn't really understand the synopsis that your teacher gave in class, plus let's be honest here, you probably didn't read the reading last night, did you? Or this weekend? You didn't, of course. It's okay. Go back and read it. Understand what you're doing. Here's a bonus tip. Read it out loud to yourself. Auditory learners don't necessarily do well just reading. So a way to combat that is read it out loud. Better yet, pull out your phone, turn your voice recorder on, and just, read the stuff out loud. Then, when you go back and you need to restudy it, you can just pop your headphones in and hit play, and boom, it'll go. You don't have to do this actively. You can passively listen to stuff. I passively listen to stuff all the time. Anytime there's something wrong on my car, on my way to work, I will passively listen to someone fixing the car, not just the sounds of it, but they'll be explaining how they're going through it and their thought process. And hey, there's a bolt here that's this big. And for a lot of people, it doesn't make sense. But for me, I can go, okay, I understand what you're saying. I understood what they said passively. So then when I go back and I need to actually watch what they're doing, I already have an idea of what they're doing, of what they've done. Going back to video, or step 1, listen to videos. So you need to teach yourself out loud. So after you've gone through this, you've read the section out loud, you've recorded it, you've listened to it yourself, then, this is going to sound a little goofy, but follow me here. I want you to go in your room, shut the door, lock it, and I want you to pretend that you're in front of class. Pretend that you're in front of your peers and your classmates and your teacher and whatnot, or just in front of your buddies, whatever you're comfortable with. And I want you to pretend that you have to teach them a lesson on what you just read. So I want you to go through and give yourself 5 minutes and give a 5-minute lesson on exactly what, in 5 minutes or less, let's call it, on exactly what you had to learn for that class. And then I want you to go through and explain every single thing that happened and record this as you're doing it. Now, once you're done with that, maybe, take a break, do something for like 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever, come back, and I want you to listen to the lecture you just gave. The lesson you just gave, I want you to really internalize what you just said. And contrast that with what you actually read in the book. Now, I want you to compare and contrast what you missed. Because what you taught is the stuff that you know for sure. You 100% know that you know what you just taught. Now, a little information that you might have missed, now guess what? Now you know what you have to study. So instead of going on like, oh man, I don't get this. I don't understand what I'm doing. You've already done it. You've already done it. So now you know exactly what you need to study. And yeah, this may take a little bit, but I would rather you take a little bit more time to learn what you need to learn than just read the book over and over and over and over and over again, realizing that you're not a visual learner, or your visual learning skills aren't that hot, or your reading skills aren't that hot, which is fine. But we need to get you teaching and learning how you learn. We need to get you studying how you learn. We need to get you at your tip-top shape academically. So we're not spending 3 hours reading a book when for you, we could have spent 30 minutes doing all these strategies we just went over in this podcast. And you could have been done so much earlier. You know what I mean? I want you to have efficiency. I don't want you to be having your nose in a book unless you want to. I don't want you to be stuck studying all weekend because you just don't understand the information. It's not that you don't understand the information. It's not that you're dumb. One of my biggest pet peeves is when teachers insinuate that students aren't smart. That's not true. The problem is these students have never learned how they learn, and we're all taught in mass to be visual or reading learners, and a lot of us aren't. I did terribly in school because I didn't realize I was an auditory learner until college. In college, my first semester, one of my teachers goes, Bobby, I don't understand why you're fighting me on this. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you're not a visual learner. Stop trying to be. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, dude, you need to listen to what's going on. You need to listen to the lesson. if you want to record my lectures, go for it. Give it a try. So I tried it that week, and guess what happened? All of a sudden, I'm doing amazingly in class. The last homework assignment, I got an F on. And I don't mean like, oh, you got a 50%. I mean, I got a grand whopping 33.5% on a music theory homework assignment. Why? Because I didn't understand what my teacher was telling me. I had no clue. But the next week, that weekend, I started really studying. I started not teaching myself, but, going through these strategies that we did, where you go through and you get rid of every single auditory distraction in the room. In my whole dorm room, I had people leave. I had my neighbors leave. Like, I got intense with this. You listen to videos. You listen to lectures on people talking about the topic that you're going over. You do word association. And you lastly teach yourself and reteach your lessons out loud. I did that, and all of a sudden, I got a 98.6 on my homework. And my teacher pulled me aside. He goes, "Did you do it?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And he goes, "Wasn't that kind of cool? Isn't it cool that all of this knowledge that I have in my head and I'm passing it on to you because I don't want you to struggle? Y'all, your teachers want you to succeed. I want you to succeed. Your social and emotional learning coach at school wants you to succeed. We all want you to do the best that you possibly can do. But to get there, you need to understand how to do it." So, next week, we're going to be going over kinesthetic learners, and I want to apologize for last week's episode. I said there were 3 learning styles. There are 4. I left out reading and writing. And I'm really sorry for all of my reading and writing learners, because I'm human, y'all. I messed up. My bad. But no, that episode will be coming. Next week, we're going to do kinesthetic learners. The week following, we're going to do reading and writing. And for a lot of schools, that will line you up perfectly for finals. So, hope everyone has a wonderful week. If you have not yet, here's your homework for the week. Hop on Google and find out what your learning style is. Find out what it is, and then whatever podcast app you're listening to this on, or if you're checking this out on YouTube, in the comments below, go ahead and, tell me what your learning style is. Tell me if this was helpful. Tell me if there's something that I can do for the next episode to help you out. For some of my auditory learners that listen to things quicker, I understand that I sometimes talk fast. So sometimes listening to my, the YouTube video or podcast at 2 times the speed is going to be a little hard because it's just going to sound like gibberish. But if it's something that'll help, leave it in the comments below. For all my people watching this on YouTube, I hate doing this. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share it around if you think people would enjoy it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you all so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Whew, that was another awesome episode of the Student Fire podcast. Thank y'all for sticking around for this long, but I got a question for you. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? See, when I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions, like how do I record an episode? How do I get my show to apps? Like, do I have to do it individually, or can I just have one place that does everything for me? And most importantly, how do I make money from my podcast? Is that even an option? Well, honestly, y'all, your answer is Anchor. Anchor is the one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it is 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors that want to advertise on your podcast. Yes, you. That means you can get paid to make the podcast. You can get paid to podcast the right way. In fact, that's exactly what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. If you want to get down on this, if you want to make your podcast a reality and you want your success and your word to be a thing, man, you already know. Hop over to Anchor and give it a start. You won't regret it. Catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.
I got you.
It's coming. Are you ready to ignite the fire?
We are Speak Fire.
Oh, and by the way, that's fire with a Y.
What's going on, everyone?
Internal fire.
Student fire.
Young fire. Father's fire. Leadership fire.
Champion fire.
Unlocking the fire within.
Thank you all for tuning in. Let's grow.
Speak fire.
Speakfire.com.
Speak Fire with a Y.
We have a new episode that comes out every Monday at 4 a.m. Are you going to be up with us?
Deuces.
I am excited to bring you my new book, Trendsetter, 7 Steps to Radically Stand Out to Be the Best You. This book details my journey of coming to the United States and being excited to embrace the American culture. But unfortunately, my culture was not accepted, and I found myself being bullied as a young girl. And in this process, I decided that I wanted to disconnect from my culture to be more accepted into American culture. And through that process, I got so depressed from trying to fit in that I attempted suicide my freshman year in high school. So this book talks about the journey of what I did to become radically transformed to be the strong woman I am today. This book is something that's really going to enable the reader to understand and embrace who they are, embrace what makes them special, and become radically transformed. Get your copy today at becomingatrendsetter.com. Again, that is becomingatrendsetter.com, or check it out at my website at aishathomas.org.